Tramuntana Mountains run pretty much the whole way down the northwest coast of Mallorca. On one side of the mountains, it's flat farmland. But on this side, the mountains drop dramatically down to the sea and the landscape changes completely. This is Son Moragues, one of the oldest estates on the island, where olive trees are cultivated on terraces built centuries ago.
This is the result of domesticating a hostile environment and sculpting it and turning it into something that you can actually live off and live in.
And how many olive trees would you have here in the estate?
We have in Son Moragues, we have roughly 10,000.
Okay.
And we produce roughly, on a good year, 10,000 litres. So it's roughly 1 litre per tree.
I hear the bells. Are they sheep or...?
The sheep. Mountain farmers' best friend are the sheep, because as they're all grafted on wild roots, the shoots from the wild root keep growing. You can see round the bases, those shoots, if you let them keep growing, they would turn into almost trunks. And they would end up killing the productive tree. If you had to keep them at bay by hand, imagine 10,000 trees, up and down terraces, it'd be impossible. The sheep's favourite food are the wild shoots. So if you have enough sheep and you manage them properly, so that it's
the whole cycle.
Beautiful. The whole cycle.
How old would the trees? People are often fascinated. How old olive trees
That's a good question. They've always talked about 1,000-year-old trees. It's unlikely that there are any 1,000-year-old trees left in Mallorca. In an estate like Son Moragues, most of them are between 300 and 800.
And how would they be harvested here?
Pretty much like it's always been. We don't hit them with sticks like they used to, because that damages the olives. You have to be careful with that. There's a new system. They're like almost like brushes, mechanical brushes that stroke the leaves. And you use the nets, just like in the old days. So you lay nets around the trees.
Just to catch the olives.
To catch the olives, yeah. People say, oh, you're so romantic, not mechanising it. You can't, how could you mechanise this?
The terror
this
won't allow you.
It's just not possible. So yeah, it hasn't really changed that much. The extraction process has, of course. Picking, no, but the extraction process used to press olives to produce oil. Nowadays, it's centrifuge machines, obviously looking after the olives from the moment you pick them to when you extract them. You have to be quick, you have to keep them cool. In a way, the image, what everyone imagines when they think of Mallorcan oil are these old trees and these old terraces, but only a fraction of the oil under the label is really produced in the mountains nowadays.
Well, I'm really looking forward to tasting some now.
Well, let's head down.
Okay.
This is the first pressing of the year. So this is last season's olive oil, of course, but it's the first press, which means it's the healthiest. It has the highest contents of vitamins and polyphenols. The yield is slightly lower, of course, at the beginning of the season. So this is our highest grade oil, the low yield, top quality. You always press the moment you pick. Obviously, you have to pick and press on the same day. If not, the acidity starts to go up. But that has a very characteristic flavour. So look, if you
show me now.
Warm it up, that's very important.
With your hand.
Yeah, you cover the whole base with your hand.
Okay.
Yeah, move it around a bit. Let's go for it.
Okay.
So it's fresh, it's grassy, it's green.
It's like Ireland. And I thought when you said it was the first pressing, that'd be really intense and strong. It's not. A little bit of spice now, I can get that in my throat.
Yeah.
Like pepper, rocket, that kind of thing. It's beautiful. Very smooth. Just slides down. It's lovely and silky, and it's not cloying. It doesn't fill your mouth.
That's one of the most characteristic things, actually, of this particular variety.
I heard you mention about the acidity in the oil. What does that mean?
The acidity is the degree of acidity. The higher it is, it means the more oxidized the oil is. And olive oil really is a bit like an orange juice. The moment you make it, it starts to lose its properties. So that's why you have to keep it in a dark bottle, if possible with no air. You put nitrogen in the tanks, in the top of the tanks, so that there's no air at all in the tanks when you're keeping it. Every moment that passes from the moment you've pressed it, or even before, from the moment an olive is damaged, the acidity starts to go up. That's why you have to really pick them with care, transport them back to the press with care in small boxes, so there's the minimum possible weight on top.
I was surprised when you told me one tree will only produce 1 litre of oil in a good year, you say?
In a good year, exactly. And that's probably every 2 years. So the other year, it might not even be half a litre.
And how would that compare to the commercial one?
Well, it's completely different, of course, on the flatlands, you know. You water your trees, you fertilise them. Completely different type of operation. It's very, very difficult for this traditional style to ever be profitable. Very difficult.
I can really see why you're so passionate about protecting the beautiful environment that this oil is produced in. The pretty village of Deia is perched on the side of the mountains, looking out to sea. It's been popular with artists and writers for more than a century, and I've come to meet Chef Sebastian from Sebastians Restaurant, one of the village's longest established places to eat. Sebastian is from Germany and his wife Patricia is from County Offaly. Sebastian, you've had your restaurant here for 27 years in Deia, and there's 20 restaurants here, so you must be doing something good.
We know more or less our guests because they're all repetitive guests, so we kind of focus on our guests and we know what they like, and I think it's a good way to do it.
And you must have seen a lot of changes in food here in Mallorca.
A lot of new influences in Mallorca kitchen, much more modern now. I mean, when I came first here 30 years ago, there was basically the meat, left, right, piece of salad, that's it.
And I suppose, Sebastian, you're so lucky you have a great climate here, you know, for growing lovely tomatoes and seasonal produce.
Absolutely, and we have a good market in Palma where I still like to go like twice a week, where the local producers come and where the farmers come. And now, as you say, tomatoes. I mean, they're like, I think, 20 different varieties of tomatoes.
I have to say, I love the character and the style of the restaurant.
It used to be old stable. And it
Here?
was, yeah, and you had donkeys in here and the sheep, I think. And then some French guy converted in a French restaurant in the late 70s. And I, as a child, always used to come here with my parents. And it was amazing that a chance in the 90s, early 90s, to get that place for myself.
And of course, you and your beautiful Irish wife, Patricia, run it. She does the flowers, the front of house.
Absolutely.
The dream team, isn't that right?
Absolutely, dream team, yeah.
I was looking at your book, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Lovely recipes, beautiful photographs. And I was looking at the back, and your first menus. The lovely...
Handwritten. Yeah. Shouldn't forget, there was no internet, there was hardly any printer, so I wrote every night.
So when did you launch this book?
For our 25th anniversary 2 years ago.
And these are a lot of your dishes that you have in your menu here.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have a really lovely, I was looking at the menu, you have your specials, a lot of fish. Talk to me about your style of cuisine here.
Basically, I'm a Mediterranean kitchen, but I like to have some influence sometimes from other countries in the Mediterranean, like Morocco. I have also Spanish influence, obviously, because we're here in Spain. I think I do a good mixture, and that's what people like. I'm not too focused on anything in particular.
I'm looking at one of the dishes here, quail with some duck, parsnip and raspberry sauce. It sounds delicious, but an unusual combination. And the rack of lamb with a rosemary and honey crust, which is unusual, honey with lamb.
Yeah.
Green beans and rosemary sauce. So talk me through that, because this would be one of your...
Well, that is our signature dish since 25 years. And if I took it off, people would ask, hey, where's the lamb? It's all Mediterranean. The honey is from the island. Even the rosemary grows here next door. The meat gets first cooked in the sous vide cooker.
So that's in the water bath?
That's in the water bath. And then I mark it in the pan. Then comes the crust under the grill and ready steady.
Ready steady.
It's very simple, actually.
And what do you serve with that? Green beans was on the menu?
Green beans with little bacon, mashed potatoes, and our lovely sauce.
That definitely must be for the Irish palate, the mashed potato.
Definitely it is. And it's a good portion. Our portions are not too small.
So you're generous with your food, your spirit, and your warmth and your kindness.
I think we are. And that makes us maybe successful.
And the location like this is just, look at sitting here, looking out. I think it's very special. There's a lovely feel to it. Patricia was telling me that this is a new addition to the restaurant this year.
It's a new addition, very successful.
Sebastian, this looks absolutely fantastic. And you're right, generous is a lovely word to use. So the lamb you cooked in the sous vide, which is in the water bath, so it's always lovely and tender. What's in the sauce? Is it rosemary?
Rosemary.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. It's tender. I love the kind of crunch that the crust gives it under the grill, and the lovely fresh herbs. Delicious. Thank you to you and Patricia, and I wish you another 25 more years of good health and happiness. Great cooking and a great dish, and well done to you. Thank you. I'm on my way to visit one of the oldest olive presses still in operation in Mallorca. Can Det dates back to 1561, and it's been in Tomeo's family for hundreds of years. Tomeo himself was born in this house where the olive press is located. The machinery looks fabulous, and it's like being in a museum, but a working one.
The place is 400 years old. In the 1930s, my grandfather adapted to electricity, and there are many families who used to own their own oil mills. My mother, she used to have one, and my father, from father and mother, used to have one. So when we go backwards, we have hundreds of oil mills.
And talk me through the process of how you produce the olive oil.
Well, we welcome the olives. Very important, just black. Black means ripe. Normally, in the world, it's an exception because in Spain, which is the first producer, and even in Italy and in Greece, they press many green olives, which are not ripe, and we just use the black ones.
Okay.
We wash the olives, and then we crush with these big stones. Before it was a power donkey rolling that. Now, well, on the last 90 years is the electrical engine. We crush with the pipe, because the pipe is like wood, has no taste. So the flesh and the pipe go together, and then we spread this stuff between these mats, about 80 pieces, this high, and then we press that and goes out the juice. The olive juice is not oil yet, so it goes to a tank, and in about 20 minutes it separates. It becomes two juices. The top oil, but the bottom is just brown or dark water, or it's not water, it's a juice which is even toxic, we need to throw away. And then the oil you could consume, but has small waste and is not enough transparent. So we take this oil in another tank, and we use the most, let's say, modern piece of the process, which is the centrifugation. And after centrifugation, the oil is just finished, ready for consumption. With 4 employees, beginning to the end is no more than 3 hours. We welcome many families who, even having different jobs, different activities, they are very committed to keeping the old olive oil, and they need it for the family consumption. So they come here with their own olives, and we press it for them.
So you get other growers with their own olives, and that you press it.
Yes, this is a very good weekend activity for them, who spend the Saturday, Sunday, having lunch and having even some fun, even with hard work.
You've got a beautiful display here, and I notice you have olives. Are these 2 of the same varieties?
These are the typical Mallorquin variety. The green ones are not ripe, the black ones are ripe. We harvest the green in September, October, and the black, November to January, is the harvesting time. So they are the same olive, but just on a different moment. They must be at least 3 months in water and salt before you eat them. Fresh are never good, are too much bitter.
And I notice your bottle, like, it's a very clear bottle for your oil.
Yes, you need to mind the heat and the sun, but we want to show the color of our oil because we just use black ones, you just use ripe. This is almost an exception in the world because many places, even in Spain or Italy, they press greens and they have much more green oil. The ripe ones produce yellow and the green produce green. So we always want to show the color of the oil. We just ask our clients to take care of the sun when they buy the bottles. We normally keep the oil in the cellar of the house in very good temperature.
So you're going to make a little snack for me. Tell me what you're going to make.
This is a simple version. We have bread, white and brown, special tomatoes, which are special for rubbing on the bread.
Okay.
We rub them, you see, then a little salt and just the oil.
Plenty of the oil.
Yes, we are not mean with the oil.
I know you're
always.
not.
And then it's ready. Ready for, you can use ham, cheese, of course, but in that way you can appreciate the taste. Here in the old house, we welcome many visitors from local and from different countries, and they are positively surprised because it's a taste that normally you don't find this oil in the supermarket.
Now, your beautiful orange juice, this is the nicest
Well, this
ever.
is also the valley of the oranges, which we have also very, very good oranges. Not just the variety and the climate and the water, but because we harvest them properly ripe, which is totally important. Because many countries get fruits that are not ripe due to protect them for the transport, and it's like you never have the same taste.
Well, I am so lucky. I'm tasting the best olive oil, the best orange juice.
You are more than invited.
Good health.
Thank you.
Bodega Suau is one of the oldest distilleries in Mallorca, founded in 1851 by a local sea captain who sailed to Cuba, made a fortune and came home to start a brandy business. Chapeau 1907 is the oldest cocktail bar in Palma, which collaborates with the Brandy Bodega.
We're gonna make a cocktail based on the mainland of Mallorca which is carob. So we're going to be making a kind of a brandy sour with carob syrup, and we're going to finish it with some carob powder.
Sounds great.
There you go. So we're going to start with some ice. There you go. And of course some brandy from the Bodega Suau.
It was amazing to visit there.
Magic place. So we're going to start with some...
Is the age, like you're using the 25 year,
Yeah.
that had a 15 year, is this a very
Exactly.
special?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, 25 is perfect for cocktails because it gives a great balance in between the grape distillate and also the wood. So it's a very balanced flavor. Then we can add some carob syrup to it that we do ourselves.
So how do you make this now?
We cook sous vide some carob powder and some carob meat.
What is a carob?
It's basically like a long leaf that inside has a black meat that tastes like figs. And recently it's been discovered that carob has a very high power to sweet things, but with very low sugar. And what we do is basically this. We use that meat and we turn it into a syrup by adding water, and that's it basically. We just cook it to be a syrup.
Very interesting.
There we go. And then we add some lemon, of course fresh lemon from Mallorca, from Sawyer in this case. And then we can add some egg whites just to give it some nice silky texture. And some shaking, which is the fun part.
I'm always amazed watching someone do that.
Oh, it's nice, it's
you're
nice. Then we cut some ice. There you go.
Huge.
And we use local artist vessels. And it reminds to the red soil of Mallorca. And we finish this beautiful cocktail with some carob powder. And we've got the first drink, carob, based on brandy suau and carob syrup. Now we're gonna move into the other cocktail, which is one of my favorites on the menu, which is olivas y limones, olives and lemons in Spanish. We're gonna put some massive ice we use, and then we're gonna move into the cocktail. We can add some of the syrup and the redistilled gin.
So what's in that now?
In here we have the olive syrup, the olive oleosaccharum, the redistilled black olive distillate. Why we put it all together? Because we want to make sure that the cocktail always tastes bright and perfect. Okay, and then we add, of course, this beautiful fresh lemon juice from Sawyer. And then we shake. Again, the fun part of it. There you go. There we go. Oh, and then got fresh olive oil from Mallorca with the lemon infused by ultrasound. It looks beautiful and bright.
Doesn't it?
And of course, it would taste like lemon and olive oil. So there we are.
Fantastic. Now, which one will it taste first?
I would go for the lemon.
This one, okay.
Lemon olives.
I love the huge big ice cube.
Yeah.
Oh, that is delicious.
Yeah.
That's so fresh, isn't it?
Exactly. The reason why we put oil into drinks is the same reason why you put olive oil into a salad. So if you add that greasy into your tongue, the rest of the flavors will amplify.
So remind me what's in here. This is the brandy.
This is the carob syrup, brandy, lemon, and egg whites. It's a very simple yet complex drink. It's sweet, but sour at the same time. And it's very, very aromatic because of the brandy, of course.
And it's the lemon that gives that sourness, is it?
Exactly. And the basil keeps the temperature amazing because you have to think that back in time, we were taking the water from one side to the other here in Spain in clay pots always to keep it cold. And clay is an amazing vessel to keep things cold.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here and congratulations on your
you very
award. Huh? Well done.
Thank you very much.
People in the Mediterranean are so lucky because they have the most delicious ripe fruit right on their doorstep. Everything from lemons to oranges, to apricots to nectarines. And I'm going to show you a recipe for baked peaches with some Amaretti biscuits with a chocolate ganache. Heat our pan here, put in some cream. We're going to infuse the cream with some orange zest. Hold in the grater and just sit it onto the pot. I'm a big fan of orange chocolates. Whisk it to make that infusion. See the way that's coming to the boil? We've got to turn that right off, and then we're going to add in our chocolate. And this is a coverage chocolate, and it's a 65% cocoa solids, so it's a really, really good cooking chocolate. This ganache is great because it keeps really well and it's lovely. You can use it to coat and decorate cupcakes, that kind of thing. So you don't want to boil this after you add in the chocolate. And what I'm showing you making here now would be lovely with just some ice cream, some toasted flaked almonds, pecan nuts. It's absolutely delicious. So I'm going to show you just the consistency. So it's nice and silky and it's soft, but it will set, trust me. Use roughly equal quantities of chocolate and cream and just mix that all through. But the key is not to overcook it. That will set in any container. I'm just going to put it into a bowl because I already have one made. What I would do is cover it with cling film. When it's cooled down, put it into the fridge and that'll keep for 3 or 4 days. The next thing we're going to do is our baked peaches. They're super ripe. I've kept the skin on. I've removed the stone, so that's 2 half peaches and a little bit of parchment paper. We're going to bake this off, so it's going to be a nice sensation. This is going to be warm and the chocolate ganache, which I've one made already, is going to be cold. So I love that combination. For our topping for the peaches, we're going to use these. These are like a little Amaretti biscuit, but they're made locally here because they have so much beautiful almonds. Crush them. Don't want to have them too fine, and it's going to give great texture here. Add in the egg yolk. So that's that 1 egg yolk in there. Maple syrup, just a splash, and some vanilla extract. It's more natural than vanilla essence. Get all these lovely crushed cookies, and then lots of lovely lemon zest. And we just mix everything together. What the egg yolk does, it binds everything together and holds it. The lemon is so important, cuts through the richness. See the consistency, you have the lemon zest there. Where I've taken out the stone, we just literally spoon it in, pack it as much as you can. What you're going to get is a lovely soft roasted peaches, this crunchy topping. Drizzle a tiny little bit of maple syrup just over it. And the last thing before it goes into the oven is some more lemon zest. This is going to go into the oven at 180 and it's going to take about 10 to 12 minutes thereabouts, and that really depends on the ripeness of the peaches. The peaches are cooked and they took about 10 minutes. The most important thing is that get them ripe, don't overcook them. They're still keeping their shape, but I love the way this has got lovely and crunchy. And remember, the egg yolk holds it all together. So I'm going to place these on the plate. Like, they're beautifully big peaches. And then the lovely juice that comes out of them. And that's from the maple syrup. That is delicious with some ice cream or whipped cream, but we're going to serve it with the ganache. So just put the one I made earlier into a bowl, and with a hot spoon, we're going to literally just spoon it into a cunel onto the side of the plate. Look at how silky that is. A little bit of sea salt, touch of olive oil, yes, olive oil, and then for a little bit of texture, some of the crushed almond cookies. So plenty of them. So you have lots of flavour, really nice texture. You got those lovely baked peaches with that lovely almond crust, with the Amaretti biscuits, the almonds are in that, and that silky chocolate ganache. So it's kind of 2 desserts in one, and I really do hope you give this a go and enjoy it at home.